Hello and welcome to Social Media 2022. I'm your host, Liam Fahey from Business Station. This workshop has been brought to you by the Digital Solutions Program, and it's all about how to keep your business seen in 2022. So a great time of the year to be doing it, as it's just turned over to 2022. And a lot of people are asking, what's the next big platform in terms of where our customers are going to be on social media? So I'm going to be answering that question today. But for those that are attending this workshop live today, I keep saying workshop, but I do mean webinar. That's what I get for being the first one of the year. By webinar, down the bottom, you'll see the option to use the chat and the question and answer function on your Zoom controls. If you have a question at any point in time during today's webinar, just drop it in there. For those of you that are watching this later online, if you do have a question, reach out to me at Business Station. So I'm Liam Fahey. I have been running one of the larger social media marketing companies in Queensland since 2012, and I've been creating content for social media since 2008, across just about every single industry that you begin to think of. A lot of my time has been spent with Facebook, and today I'm actually going to be showcasing to you how I doubled a business using just a few simple tricks on social media. So let's get into that and start with Facebook and how to use it this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my screen shared, and I'm going to make sure I optimize it for video and share sound. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen now. I'm just setting up my Zoom controls here to make sure I can see everything that I have to see. One moment. Okay, brilliant. So right here in front of us, we have my Facebook page, and I'm going to forewarn this that I'm not sure what we're going to see as I go through my scroll. We have our feed and we have our stories across the top here. So the very first one that's popped up is from a friend of mine. The very next post is most likely going to be advertising. If it wants to work. Okay, so the news article, the very next one is advertising. If I keep scrolling down through Facebook, I'm going to get various different things that are going to pop up from businesses, but there's always going to be some form of advertising. Facebook definitely works, and essentially all platforms work, by showing you content that you want to see. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, doesn't matter what the platform is, it starts to build a profile on who you are and wants to show to you content that it thinks that you are most interested in. Because if it shows you content you're interested in, you're going to do more scrolling. The more scrolling down through the feed that you do, the more you are going to see. The more you see, in terms of advertising, the more that platform makes. So it wants to show you content from pages and people that you interact with. And that's going to be one of the key features here with social media marketing. The more you interact with the page, and by interact I mean like, tag, share, comment, or click, the more your customer sees of your content. So it's fed into a different system as well. If I come down here on the right-hand side, click the downwards facing arrow, and click on settings and privacy, I'm going to have this news feed preferences. If I click on that and go manage favorite, it's going to show you how Facebook has organized my feed based on the pages and people I talk with the most. So straight up, it's a few business pages. I mostly use Facebook for business. The very first person is my wife, so she'll probably like that. And then I've got friends and family. But as I scroll through this list, and let's just take this list down towards the bottom, I'm going to start to come across people that I don't interact with. Might be someone that I used to work with. It could be someone that I went to school with. Funny enough, my next door neighbor. So as I scroll through this list, there's going to be people that I don't engage with, but there's also going to be business pages. Let's see if I can find one really quickly here. Probably more towards the bottom. Here we go. So a couple of different business pages, including the Australian Government Facebook page. So I don't see this content because I don't engage with these pages. If I click on the Australian government and I jump on here and I start to interact, and interaction can be clicking on something, it can be writing a comment, it could be sharing to a friend, it could be liking it. That's going to tell Facebook that I'm interested in that content. And then Facebook is going to show me more of that or move up in that list. So to get your page to the top, you want to have as many interactions as possible. So let's have a look at today's case study, what I'm going to be showing you. It's Parker's Quality Meats. It's a local butcher shop in Rockhampton that my marketing company has worked extensively with. The first year we worked with them, we doubled their business. The second year, we tripled it on top of the double. So they've seen incredible growth. And how we did it was rather quite simple. I'm going to be showing you directly how we did that. So we have a picture and it's got reasonably good interaction. Again, we've got a picture, reasonably good interaction. This one actually has a slightly lower score. This one still is reasonably good. Now, I know a lot of Facebook pages, they struggle with the idea of trying to get 51 reactions or comments or shares. That's pretty normal. But as we scroll through here, we've got this picture here, and we've got 51 interactions, 1 comment and 1 share. This one, about the Wagyu Wednesday, has 31 reactions and 1 comment, no shares. We've got a video with, again, very good interaction. Another video, this one's live by the looks of it, reasonably good interaction. This one didn't perform as well. But again, we've got another picture shot and engagements are much lower, although it does have more shares. If it's not immediately clear by now, I'll come back to that content in a minute. As soon as you put a person in a picture, it's going to perform better every single time. That was my one key trick to get this business to double. I put people in pictures. And you got to remember that Facebook is a social media platform. The key element of social media is that it has to be social. The easiest way to make it social is put a person in the picture. If we go for a scroll through Facebook, just again through the feed, the content that's going to grab your attention is more so the ones that have people in them, as opposed to just massive amounts of text. It's the ones that have people in them that attract attention, because you want to see what your friends, you want to see what your family's doing, you want to see what's going on in their lives. This sort of stuff that doesn't attract attention looks like advertising. So that's trick number 2. You want to create content that does not look like advertising. You want it to be as real as possible. Or you can go to the other extreme and do something that no one's ever really done and create custom cartoons. So this is something that the marketing company that I own get drawn up by our team, just because I don't believe there has been another butcher shop that I know of that has their own cartoon series. And these cartoons, why they're not selling a product, they tell a story about the staff. And the customers buy the product from the staff. So it's very interactable. Jimmy, he's one of the main butchers. It's this guy here, incredible mullet. He's got an electric scooter. So customers are coming in, they talk to him about his electric scooter. There's a conversation there. So it's a little bit more personal, a little bit more interaction. Customers feel like they connect and know who the butchers are. So regardless of the type of business that you have, whether it's a butcher shop and you're selling a product, or whether you're a service-based industry and you're installing toilets, one of the key tricks is always just have people in your content. The very first one that I always like to do if you're struggling for ideas is introduction to the owner. There's at least one person that's going to work in the business, and for a lot of small traders, that is you. So start with introduction of who you are, what you do, what you're interested in. And funny enough, that is more or less the main things that we feed straight into Facebook when we sign up. It's the thing that we tell most platforms. If you, well, let's just jump onto my personal profile. Jump onto my personal profile. You find out about things that I own, you find out where I live, you find out where I'm from, you let Facebook know how old you are, you showcase your different interests in terms of engagements and connectability. You have friends, so you connect with their interests. So Facebook always has something to show you. I've just created a new TikTok account very recently. And when you sign up to it, it asks you, your basic sort of details. But the very next thing it does is it asks you what you're interested in. So you directly tell TikTok that, okay, you're interested in cooking or motorsports or flying planes, and it will feed content that you're interested in so that you engage with it, connect with it. And you might be asking why I keep coming back to TikTok. And the reason I keep coming back to TikTok is simple. TikTok is one of the fastest growing platforms in Australia. I don't have any data for this year, but last year it was the second most downloaded app on mobile. And for those that are wondering, the number one most downloaded app was Zoom. Probably definitely a sign of the times. So if you're wondering where you need to be next, I'd be looking at TikTok. And you don't have to dance to make it on TikTok, but I'm going to come back to that one in a little bit. So getting back to Parker's Pulling Meats, let's actually have a look at the insights. Insights is where you can pull all the exciting data about your business. And to get to it, it's just on the left-hand side, look for insights. If you're on the later version of Facebook, what you might have to do rather than click on Insights is actually go to Business Suite and you'll find the Insight tab there. Just depending on where you're up to. There in the process of updating pages at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the data for the last 28 days. So we've had 16 actions on the page. Actions are things like clicking through the website, messaging, clicking to call. We've had 754 page views, which is actually up 20% compared to the previous 28 days. That's pretty good. We like to see that because when people go to the page, they're looking around, they're looking for information, they're looking to see what's going on, what new products we've got, that sort of thing. So page views are always good. We got 38 new page likes. That's all right. It's down a little bit from last time, but still page is growing. Our post reach is actually down a bit, which is disappointing, but only down 20%. It's probably because over Christmas and New Year's, there was less posting going on, along with less stories. Our engagement is 3,990 and it's down 40%. So that's actually a massive drop. So we probably have to do something that engagement baits a little bit, gets people interested in the content again. Might be time to release another comic. One of my little golden rules is between these two here, post engagement and the post reach. I'm always looking for around about 50% engagement to post reach. If you have post reach of say 10,000 and you're only getting 2,000 engagement, your content is not exciting enough for your customer. You want to see at least 50%. So if it was 10,000, we'd be looking at 5,000. In this case, we need 4,250, give or take. So we're a little bit off, but it's not too far off. I find that when you hit more than 50% engagement to reach, the page is always growing. In terms of that as well, if you're struggling with what content to post, come down here to pages to watch. This is an exciting little section. It's organized based on the number of page likes you have. So the more page likes you have, the more you sit at the top. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can add pages. They could be local competitors, they could be businesses in another state, on another country. So you definitely have lots of options. But what you can do is you can add these different pages. And then you can have a look here and go, okay, well, this particular page had really good engagement this week in comparison to myself. So let's click on them. And what we're going to be able to do is see what they posted. So they posted something about COVID and Happy New Year, deliveries, and so forth. So this just gives you a bit of an idea of what sort of content you could be posting. As you can see, the engagement rates are really low in comparison to this particular page. So I want to be taking that as a good example. Well, this page has only put up 2 things in the last 7 days, so it has been posting a lot. One thing to mention is when you do post something and you do get good engagement on it, click on the engagements, the reactions. When you do that, you're going to get this screen. And this screen is going to give you the ability to invite people to like your page. You see this person here has already been invited. So they'll get a little notification saying that you've been invited to like this particular business page. I'm just scrolling through here, seeing if I can find someone that hasn't been invited. You'll see that it's just a button that you can press and it says invite. It looks like my team from my company have probably already been through here and invited everyone. So use this for examples. The other thing is on the left-hand side down here on the post, when you click on this, it's going to give you 2 things. The first one is it's going to tell you when your fans are online, organized by Pacific time zone, which I believe is the West Coast of America. So you just got to convert it from Pacific time zone into your local time zone. So in my particular case, Queensland. So I know that roughly at this point in time in the morning, about there is about midnight in Australia, give or take. But the interesting thing here is that there's still people online all through the day and all through the night. So these people that are online in the middle of the night, it could be that they're emergency service workers, night shift workers, people who don't sleep, people out partying. There's definitely lots of different options. But one thing that is definitely not happening is no one's posting any content at that time of the morning. So if you do post something, it's more likely your customers are going to see it. Just make sure that the content you design is definitely targeted towards your customer. If you're a retail store and you work late nights, it could be that, hey, we're open, Frank's down here serving you, you can get a nice freshly cooked beef pie. Or it could be that, we open at 7 a.m. So for all you night shift workers coming off shift, you can come in and grab your meat early in the morning, whatever it could be. The other thing that you get in this section here is a huge range of statistics based on how many people were reached by each post, along with what the engagement was. So this one here is our comic. And as you can see, we had really, really good reach on it and really good engagement. And all these numbers here are completely organic, no paid advertising at all, but really good results. So when you have a post that performs well, in this case, this happy birthday one, I'd recommend doing more posts like this. This one is a video, Cold Room Confessions. It's a segment that we created and it does good, it has good engagement. So I'll do more of those type of posts. As opposed to this one here about smoked hams, it really didn't have the engagement we want. So I wouldn't be doing as many of those type of posts in the future. One thing to note, we have some really highly stylized professional photos, and while most people probably look at this and go, this is good, I actually look at this and go, this did not perform as well as I'd want it to. I would want to be seeing a lot more engagements, a lot more reactions and interaction on this post than what I have got. So I'll probably be looking to modify that sort of style post. The other thing is, if you click this downwards facing arrow here on the right hand side and go post hide or post reports of spam and unliked page, it's going to show you negative feedback. So one of the questions I often get is, how many times a week, a day should I be posting? Now, I recommend that you don't post more than once per day, because you'll start to get ratings for spam. This is negative feedback and drastically hurts your presence online. The second thing I recommend is aim for around about 3 posts per week. If you start to post too much, you'll get a lot of negative feedback. In this case, in this particular page, at one point there, we were getting a lot of negative feedback, but we were posting every single day. So we dropped from posting every single day down to about 3 times per week, and that was the golden number for us. It really does depend on type of business and how your customers are engaging with you, but generally somewhere between 2 to 4 posts works for most businesses. It's a little bit of trial and error, just like what time of the day should you be posting. So I recommend experiment and try different things and then gauge the response. If you had good response, then your content's good, your post performs well, do more like it. If you end up posting too much and you start to get negative feedback, and negative feedback is hide or post reports of spam and unliked page. So the hide or post means they won't see any more posts from this business. They've unsubscribed from that content, but they still like the page. So that's a lost customer. Too much, they see it too much on Facebook every time they open it, then it starts to get annoying. So you want to find a nice balance with the content that you do put up. So posting at 2 a.m. in the morning, 1 a.m. in the morning, it's probably going to be a little bit unrealistic for most people. That's why we have a system called Creator Studio. So I'm just going to open the tab back up. Now, Creator Studio, Publishing Tools, there's a few different names for it. Publishing Tools is the sort of older version. And looks like this. And the newer version is Creator Studio. So I'm going to click on Creator Studio. So what you'll see here is you'll see your posts that you have published will be in the section here, including a calendar view of when you posted them. I find this to be very useful because you can see basically a summary of what you posted and when, and sort of helps you plan out your content in the future, especially when you're using the pre-published tab. So there is nothing currently pre-published for this business, probably because the creative teams haven't been around there yet. But if we want to create a new post, it's quite simple. First thing we do is we click on the Create New button. We got the option of creating a story or a post. I'm going to click on Post. Once this loads, we can add our text and we're going to add our pictures. And it'll give us an example of what it's going to look like over here in the preview section. We can add various other things as well. There is a selection of options, including adding the option to get messages. You can put up a stop news feed where it will stop showing it on the feed. So it might be that you have a special on until 2 o'clock on, I don't know, hams. You can set it so it will stop showing on Facebook at 1:45. You can also restrict who it gets shown to in terms of age and actual physical location. I don't recommend that you generally use these. This sort of settings up here, adding your picture and photos is enough. But rather than publishing directly to your page, what you want to do is you want to click on this downwards facing arrow. And you've got 2 options. You can save it as a draft, so something I want to use later, or you can schedule it as a post. You can also backdate it where you post it on a date previous to today, but there's not much use to that I've ever found. But in this case, we want to schedule it as a post. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to set the day that I want to go up. So we could say that, okay, we want this to go up on Wednesday the 19th, and we want it to go up at 2:46 a.m. So if I click on save and schedule the post, and just click this little refresh icon over here, there it is. That's our post scheduled to go up. And it's going to go up on the 19th of this month at 2:46 a.m. Likewise, I can click on this, I can edit it, reschedule to a different time, or I can delete it. If I go into the calendar view and into month, we can also see there's the post scheduled to go up. So this calendar here is something I definitely recommend everyone uses. Take this calendar, screenshot it, and start print it out and write in all these boxes what you want to promote. If you're struggling to think about what content to put up, start with, okay, what do I do? What do I sell? Start writing a list and then filling in the boxes of what you want to promote. Then grab your trusty mobile device and take some photos that you can then use. And where you can, try and get those pictures with a person in it, whether it's the customer that you've just helped, happy with the job you've done, or the picture of yourself doing the job, whatever it may be. So what I want to do is I just want to remove that post. So I'm just going to click on delete so they don't get a random post that goes up. I'll also mention that Parker's Quality Meats have given me permission to use their page for the purposes of training and any other examples I may use today in the same situation. Okay, so next bit I want to show you is just a little bit more information in terms of data. Down here in the People tab, which is back in Insights, you'll see a breakdown of who your audience is, including whether they're male, female, and their age range, and what city they're in, what language they speak, and what country they're from. So this is a breakdown based on your fans, the people who like your page. I'm going to click across to people reached. This is who I'm actually reaching with my content. So mostly Australians, that's what I like to see. And most of them in Rockhampton, which is the city that the business is located in. I haven't found much use for the language section yet, but if you're in a country or area with a very high ethnic population that don't speak English, then you might consider using additional language options in your copy. People engaged also shows who's the majority of people who are engaging with your content. So at this point in time in our webinar, I'm going to give you the chance to ask any questions that you may have. So for those of you attending live, use the chat function below to ask your question. It will be in your Zoom controls. If you don't have a question, just let me know what was the most useful thing that you've learned so far in this webinar. I'm going to give it a minute and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start talking about who your customers are and which social media is best to reach them for your business. Okay, let's get into part two. So no questions at this point in time, which hopefully means that I've been doing a great job explaining how to do all this for your business. So for most people that are on social media, if you're looking at an over 30 demographic, Facebook is your market. Next to that, between sort of the ages of 20 to 30, you're looking at an Instagram market. Now, one of the big problems with Instagram is that it's a far-reaching platform. So if you're a small local business, you're not really going to get a lot of attention from your local customers. So what I recommend in that situation is that you use localized hashtags. In the case of being in Rockhampton, I'd use the hashtag Rockhampton and make sure I pin my location to for each of the content that I'm actually putting up. In terms of other social media platforms, we have a question here. Malcolm, I've actually dropped off for a few minutes there just so I could have a moment to rest and get the next part ready. Yeah, you didn't lose me unless my internet dropped out. So the bit that we're going on to is just the next part of the webinar. If you do have any questions, use the chat function below. where was I? So yeah, Instagram is one of those platforms that is very far reaching. You're not going to get a very strong localized audience. Facebook is definitely a market for that. Next to that, the next big platform that I'm really focusing on is TikTok, being one of the fastest growing platforms in Australia. If we look at some statistical information, Facebook on average is used 18.2 hours per month. TikTok is around about 8.4, I believe, and that's Instagram, and TikTok is 16.8 hours per month. It's being used more by users between ages of 13 and 55 than any other platform. Second most downloaded platform in Australia for last year. I don't have any statistics for this year just yet. So it's definitely a very quick growing one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and in terms of age demographic, there's a idea that it's the under 18s, but the market's definitely shifting towards a slightly older demographic between the ages of 18 and 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my screen shared and we're going to have a quick look at TikTok. So I'm using the TikTok desktop app, which I recommend that you do not use. You want to be using the mobile app. It's definitely designed for mobile. And as you scroll through, there's going to be different pieces of content and it's going to be geared towards you as a user. So the things that you're interested in is generally what it's going to show you. And just like Facebook, the more that you click on, the more that you interact with it, the more it's going to show you content like that. So, you know, something from Marvel, big fan of all the Marvel stuff, it's going to show me content like that. I have the For You. And then there's the following, which is, this is actually one of the businesses I work with, the pages that I follow. They have audio. Audio is a big part of it. There's different comedians, different things. Definitely always suspect that there's going to be something.
B, a blue angel.
Okay, let's go.
When you're
And in this case, they're using a voiceover app. Hopefully you can hear that. So you don't actually have to talk on it in the face. You can
how many cats till your pet gets mad?
film something or use a series of photos. What I am going to show you though is a business that I follow, and that's very interesting. This is an American fella and his account's called Cheese Boss. And one of the big things with TikTok is that it definitely does subscribe to that dreamer ideal, where they want to see anything's possible. So this is where businesses can create a very strong presence.
And get proof of concept out. So 1 year ago, I left everything behind to start the next big restaurant brand. We started off small with this plot of land and built everything we could by ourselves. We got this trailer to start and get proof of concept out to the people as fast as we could. We built everything and made it look really awesome and nice. But then we had to close. Shortly after, we managed to release out this restaurant space and we built it up by hand ourselves. Piece by piece, wall by wall, hour by hour, day by day, we built it up and we finally got open. And this is where our story begins. This is us.
Again, they've definitely put the element of personalizing it. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is our dream. This is what we're trying to achieve. Some things to note with TikTok. It has the reactions and comments and the shares, just like you have on Facebook. And this one has had a huge response. It also has the hashtags. So the hashtags connect with the different things that you interact with. So if I click on the hashtag entrepreneur, it's going to have videos using the hashtag entrepreneur. For example, I'm going to use the hashtag Rockhampton. And again, localized area, localizing it to you. These are all the videos that come up for Rockhampton. So you can localize your business to your area and people in your area, if they follow the hashtag Rockhampton, are more likely to see your content. Other things to note is you have comments, pretty straightforward, but there's an engagement algorithm here where the more you comment and like, engage, the more likely customers are going to see it, plus people like it when you talk to them. With TikTok, one of the really cool things is it's very much like the very early days of YouTube or Facebook. And that if you put something up and it gets even the slightest little bit of virality, it can go very far reaching. So essentially how TikTok works is you post your TikTok, your video, and it will show it to a small group of people. If that small group of people like, tag, share, engage with it, then it goes, okay, this is interesting, and shows it to a large group. If that larger group then engage with it, will show it to an even larger group, and so forth and so forth. So the more you post, the more chances you have where it'll be picked up and people will run with it, as long as it's good quality content. The key thing I'm trying to bring across right now to you is that TikTok's the one platform right now that you can go viral on. And if you can go viral, if you can get your business out there, imagine if you got seen by 100,000 people that could potentially buy your product or service. What sort of difference would that make for your business? In this particular case, this video was seen by 1.5 million people. And that was back in 2010. If we fast forward to closer to today, he still has videos that absolutely go off.
Bro, where are you guys located? I'm lactose intolerant, but I'ma risk it all. Wow. The amount of people that come in, first of all, we're in Centereach. It's in Long Island, New York. But the amount of people that come in and tell me they're lactose intolerant is actually quite unbelievable. And they order a plethora of cheesy goodness, and they love every minute of it. So you gotta come try it out and let me know what you think. But for now, bro, where are you guys?
So people will respond to it. He's taken a comment and responded back a video and picked up good engagement off it. Fast forwarding to something a little bit more recent, he's expanding, opening new stores.
So if there's one video that you guys watch of mine, let it be this one, because I want everyone to know about it. I know I've been MIA for a little while now, and here's the reason why. This was us July 9th of this year when we took over this old building to make it our store.
So he's essentially growing his business just by getting seen on TikTok, because people are chasing him from all over America to come try his cheesy goodness. And we're seeing this with Australian brands as well. One of the really good ones recently was Red Rooster. Probably one of the better marketing campaigns of this year in terms of getting out there.
Proof that Red Rooster has actual customers.
I've been going to Red Rooster for like 50 years, about 50 years now. I love Red Rooster. I really like Red Rooster. I like the chicken that they make over there. I like the chips. I like the yellow chips that they do. I eat this all of the time anyway. It's so nice. I like the under bit, you know, the chicken.
All right, and cut. You don't have to eat it.
That's really good. It's actually really good.
So if you haven't seen that, they basically did a whole viral campaign and just on TikTok and brought it across to their social media, and it performed quite well. The format for most TikTok videos are 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute. Once you have 1,000 followers, you can also opt to go live. 15-second though is a really good format because it keeps it simple and sells your message. The other thing that you can do is you can then come back and you can throw out a story. So stories is one of those very, very powerful things where you can get additional engagement. And I recommend that whatever you're doing with TikTok in terms of your 15-second videos, you also bring them across to your Facebook page and use them as your story. So and it is better to do this from a mobile device, but from your mobile device, when you go onto your page and you look at your profile picture here, you'll see a little plus icon right here. You click on that and you can add your story. You can also do it from Creator Studio, but I definitely recommend you do it from your mobile device. And stories is probably the more common usage now for Facebook rather than scrolling through your feed. Instead, people are quite literally clicking across and looking at the various stories that people are putting up. Videos is definitely the future of social media content. People like to see what's going on. A video, you can explain more of the message than you can just taking a photo. As far as content goes, though, video, definitely the best option, but you've got more production time, it's harder to do, followed by photo, followed finally by text-based imagery. Whatever photos and video you do use, though, create your own. Actually grab out your mobile phone and take those photos. Being someone who has pretty much spent the last 14 years of my life designing and developing content for social media, it pains me to say that pull out your mobile phone and take a photo when I've got something like $200,000 worth of cameras in my company. But some of the best content I've ever designed for social media has been from a mobile device, not one of my big flash cameras. There was a point there where I worked for a country recording artist. We took him to #1 on Spotify for country charts. And he also got to #1 in Australia. And we're in some outback town somewhere out near Dingo, somewhere out west there. And Sam Hunt's song Body Like a Back Road had just come out. Pulled up on the side of the road and said, we're going to go down the side road here and I'm going to get you to come out, play Body Like a Back Road on the guitar. I'm going to film it and put it on your social media. The particular country recording artist didn't actually know how to play the song, but he could play by ear, so he listened to it about 10 times, got a guitar, played it, recorded it, put it on the Snapchat first. And I think we had something like 5 million views inside of the first 2 hours. Then from there, we put it onto his Facebook and his Instagram, all up around about 25 million views. And I think the following couple of weeks, we had a couple of thousand new subs on Spotify. And we even got some merch sales out of it, all just from I think it was about a 30-second video filmed on my mobile phone. So you don't have to have big professional cameras to take content, but do make sure you do use your real content. Using stock photos, it looks boring, it's not real, and people know it. Stock photos is definitely one of my big pain points. I hate them. So much so that I walked into a business 3 or 4 years back in Brisbane. They were a mechanic business and they were using stock photos. Stock photos were so bad, they were of African-American people wearing overalls fixing cars that were left-hand drive. So we made one and only one change to that business to begin with, was we took a bunch of photos for them that they could then use on their social media and website. And that actually made a difference in terms of their customer engagement, which then over time led to more customers and more money for that business. So make sure you do take your own photos. It does make a big difference. Real knows real. Okay, so we have definitely covered a lot. I've given you lots of little tips and examples in today's webinar on Social Media 2022. It's a rapidly changing market. If you had told me that TikTok would be the next big thing about 2 years ago, I would have laughed at you. Funny enough, 2 years ago, I was standing in a hall in Germany talking to TikTok, and they were telling me that they're excited because they think they're the next best thing, but they don't know what they're doing yet. So they've definitely come a long way since then. So at this point in time in this workshop, I'm going to give you the chance to ask any questions that you may have. While you put your questions in the chat box below, and if you don't have any questions, I always like to hear what was the best thing that you learned in today's workshop. While you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the Digital Solutions Program. So you might have noticed that behind my head all day today has been this, get out of the way, this little QR code. If you scan this QR code, what's going to happen is that it's going to open you up onto the Digital Solutions website. And it looks like this. And from this Digital Solutions website, what you can do is you can get 7 hours of mentorship for $44. Total cost, $44 with the Digital Solutions Program. So it's heavily funded by the federal government. So you can get help on all these different topics. To register, you just got to have fewer than 20 employees, have an ABN in Western Australia, Queensland, and Northern Territory, and be operating to make a profit. Now, if you're outside Western Australia, Queensland, and Northern Territory, don't worry, you have programs in your region. You just got to track them down. Registering, you can get some personal time with myself. So if you have no idea how to set up that TikTok, sign up to this program, $44. If you struggle with the QR code, just go onto Business Station or just go on Google, type in Business Station and Digital Solutions, and you'll find this page. So you can get some direct one-on-one time with me where we can help you with your social media. The other cool advantage of that is that I can actually personalize it towards your business. I've worked with just about every single industry you can think of under the sun. And what I say to everyone is, if I can't help you, I'll connect you with the right advisor that can. We have a great selection of incredibly talented advisors in this program. So if there's any questions from the audience, now's your chance to ask them. I'll give you a moment or two to put them in the chat, and I'll come back shortly. Okay, and we're back. So we have two great questions from the attendees. The first one is, what would the proportion of serious TikTok views be from non-millennial and Gen Z? So non-millennial, non-Gen Z, looking for serious business viewers. So millennials, non-millennials, so we're talking over 40s. I don't have the exact statistical data on that, but there's definitely a trend moving towards the older generations. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's pushing into his 70s, and he had TikTok and actively used it. So there is a growing market. In terms of business, especially in the marketing world, we talk about winning and the 3 ways to win. Be first, be better, or cheat. So just because there's not a market today doesn't mean there's not going to be a market tomorrow. So if you're already there and you're first for your industry or for your region, you've essentially already won. So I recommend developing your presence now, especially if you're going to be cross-promoting it between multiple platforms, where the videos you create for TikTok, you're going to be sharing onto your stories for Facebook anyway. In terms of the over 40 market, it is definitely still Facebook, but that's changing, and TikTok seems to be the future if you can get past the dancing and all the other silly stuff on it. The other question that we have is from Cheryl. She says, my husband has a car repair business and works by himself currently. It is a struggle to come up with content to put online, since he basically does the same thing each day. Can you please recommend good filler types of posts? Thanks. So this is actually a pretty common one. Your husband works on different types of cars. I couldn't imagine he works on Toyota Camrys every single day of the week. And he probably is very experienced with working on cars. So he would know all the little tricks and tips and everything that no one else gets to see. For instance, let's say Toyota Hilux. I own a Toyota Hilux Ute. If you walked up to your husband and said to him, what don't you like about a Toyota Hilux? That could be a post. Vice versa, what's the best thing about a Toyota Hilux in this particular year or model? So play on the fact that he has a lot of experience, and put up tips about different vehicles. So particular vehicles, there's better ways to maintain or service or repair them. So you could say, one of the best things to keep your Toyota Hilux going for longer is to clean the air filter, especially if you're going down a dusty back road. The other option is you could, I'm sure he comes across all sorts of weird stuff being in the car repair business, and probably comes across cars that have been repaired more than once. There's a statistic there that if a driver has an accident, they're twice as likely to have an accident again. So there's an increased chance. So if a car's been damaged once, it's probably been damaged again. So how do you identify if a car has been damaged before? Car repair, I'm assuming that could actually have something to do with panel work as opposed to being a mechanic. So you could also, tips for maintaining the quality of your paintwork, for instance. So there's lots of options there. The key thing to keep in mind is what might be mundane to you is a completely new experience for your customers. Your customers don't always get to see, well, barely ever get to see the behind the scenes of your business. So they don't get to experience what you in the business experience every single day. They don't see all those little tips and tricks. They don't know all the ins and outs. So, give your customers a behind the scenes of your business, what actually goes on. Probably fine-tuned a little bit so that's appropriate for your audience. Okay, we have only a few moments left, so if there's any other questions, now's your chance to put in there. Hey, there we go, got another question. So what about Google Ads? So when we talk about businesses, we normally put you into one or two categories. You have a need-based business and a want-based business. With a want-based business, I see it, I need it, I want it. As opposed to want-based business, I see it, I need it, I want it. As opposed to a need-based business. Okay, I need something. Oh, my car's broken down, I need a tow truck. I'm immediately going to go to Google. So Google Ads is well positioned because you can give yourself that first top spot. But what I generally recommend is first you look at something like Google My Business. We have a few mere minutes. Quickly show you this. I know that through the Digital Solutions program, we do have plenty of workshops on Google My Business. So before ads, I'd always look at this one. So Google My Business is a free tool that's available with Google. Just set up a Google account, costs you nothing. When you get onto there, it's going to ask you to sign in. You put in the details about your business. You might already have one. And I'm just going to grab an example here that I know that I can use. One moment, I'm just going to have to change account. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so Google My Business looks like this once you sign it. It has all the different information about your business. In this case, I'm using a comic book shop. So when I type in, I'm just going to go tow truck driver near me, it's going to bring up examples. And this first section here, it's called Google My Business. So if you're on Google My Business, you're going to come up. Really cool, quick other things that do pop up in here is in the insight section, and you go into new profile performance, you can actually find out directly what your customers are searching to find your business online. So in this case, this is a comic book and collectible store. So Dungeons and Dragons, they're getting less than 15 searches in whatever random time frame I selected. So that'd be a good indication that this business needs to do more advertising around Dungeons and Dragons because that's one of their major sells. Up the top here, we've got plenty on Yu-Gi-Oh, Autographs and Warhammer, which are other major sellers. So Google My Business is a really, really powerful tool, both for getting you a presence online and for giving you back information. So that's where I'd start before Google Ads. As far as actually advertising with Google Ads, it is beneficial, but I'd need another half hour to tell you all about it. So join one of the Google My Business workshops or webinars and join a Google Ads workshop or webinar and learn a little bit more from it. Alternatively, if you want direct advice, scan the QR code. If you want to talk to me as your preferred advisor, there's a section there, and just go that you want Liam as your preferred business advisor through the Digital Solutions Program. It costs us only $44. It's one of the better programs that the government has come up with. So I'm Liam Fahey for Business Station. This has been social media in 2022 for the Digital Solutions Program, an Australian government initiative.